Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.
All right, welcome to the KVJ ATS Podcast.
Kevin's eyes look insane, but he's got new hair. Virginia is a witch and she farts in her chair. Jason is a spaz who's got an old man's ass. Welcome to the After the Show Podcast.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to the ATS. Oh, good to see you. Yeah. Got a lot of comments, stuff that's going on here today. There's always lots of comments from the regular show on food. People send in a couple texts. You can find out how to eat sprinkles the Dutch way. So somebody sent me that. It is. And you know what? They have the exact brand of the old, they called them mousjes, which I think is Dutch for mouse shits. And they look like little mouse turds. It's true. De Ruitzer is, I believe, what they had used. D-E and then R-U-I-T... JTER. I think that's the kind I used to have because they used to bring it straight off the mothership from England. They had those, and then I think they called them stroopwafel is how they pronounce them. And somebody's getting all on me saying that's not right. And then somebody said, no, fuck them, they're wrong. So yeah, so I think maybe the English here in America we call them stroopwafel. But yeah, when they would come over, that's all I knew. They go stroopwafel, something like that. So.
The cool accent, cool little.
Yeah, it was like a It looks like stru, but it would be they pronounce it stroopwafel or something like that.
Stroopwafel.
Stroopwafel. Yes. So so stroopwafel would be how we say it in the U.S. So there you go. So again, you're wrong. I was right. Suck it. Let me see. Somebody said, here's a link about not being illegal to flash lights to oncoming traffic about cops. Apparently that went all the way to the Supreme Court, somebody was saying.
So it's not illegal.
It's not. Yeah.
I didn't think it was.
I think they tried to press it, though, and said, no, you can't warn other oncoming motorists. And somebody said, well, you're trying that just...
Why? What's your excuse other than you want to make money?
You're not about safety. You're about money.
I mean, if Kevin's speeding, I flash lights, and Kevin slows down, am I not helping out everything?
You're helping everything else but them making money.
The bottom line.
Right.
Well, then just tell me what it is then. Just call it what it is.
If they're fighting it, then that's exactly what it is.
Well, it's one of those things that's touchy because nobody likes to lose money, which is what you're going to do. And I know you should be doing the speed limit, but, like I said, in my instance, I felt like there's trickery involved. That's what I didn't like about mine.
I saw some of the comments. Well, you wouldn't have this problem if you just didn't speed. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
we all speed a little
get it.
bit.
Yeah, if I speed, I get it. Like I deserve it. Like I won't complain. My one complaint about getting that over anything else was that they dropped the speed limit with no change in the style of road. It's because it went into a different town. And they knew that, and I had heard they intentionally did it as a town to make more money.
Of course.
And so I didn't like that. Like that I don't like. I understand. Trust me, I love cops. I think cops are fantastic. They're very necessary. And if you speed and you know what the speed limit is, it's well marked. I just felt like that was that I didn't like because it felt like it was trickery. And the system they had, I'm like, this is basically, I feel like I'm being scammed. This isn't about safety. This is about taking your money away, and that's why I didn't like that one.
That's why I think some people don't like the HOA, because the HOA deliberately goes out to look for things that are wrong when they're not bothering anybody. So they're poking and they're prying to find anything, and that's not cool. If you're doing something that's blatantly fucked, I understand that. But if you got to search for the crime. I don't know if you should do the time.
Yeah. So I think
it's murder.
I guess that's ultimately what it is, at least for me. So to clarify, that was what my one complaint was basically that one time. Other times, if I've ever been, I don't get pulled over for speeding much, but if I ever have, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Speed.
You got me. I deserve it. Yeah, that one I didn't like. Did not like. Felt trappy. Let me see. Got one from Michael said, yeah, FHP loves to sit on 95 southbound next to Donald Ross exit. I got pulled over 2 weeks ago and had no clue where they came from. I got clocked by a helicopter, and there's 4 other people pulled over in front of me. Ever wonder why there's so many pulled over in a short distance? It's from an aircraft.
Damn, the FHP won't let us be.
Yeah. Well.
Aircraft.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to be able to see that. You're done.
Tough,
my buddy had a girlfriend, and she got pulled over by a helicopter. It was hovering over and it said, pull over. And she got a ticket from a helicopter.
Damn.
That's when you know you are just having a rough day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember the area where I grew up in Ohio. In fact, I think I saw a list. It was like the top 10 worst speed traps in America, and it was one of them. Like, they did not play. And the cops there, this is even going back to the 80s when I was a kid, they had painted lines on the highway, and that's how they would track you. So they had a plane that was flying, and so they'd be able to time.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's how they knew from the plane if you were speeding or not, was if you would hit this mark to the next mark in a certain amount of time, they could actually quickly calculate your speed.
Huh.
That seems broke down, doesn't it? You're doing
It does.
math.
It seems like...
some Logan bullshit right there. That's crazy. Was it Justin Logan?
It was the stretch of highway between Logan and Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, 33, and it was, I think, still considered one of the worst.
We count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, from the time you go from that bridge to that tree.
Right.
That's some big dog off speeding.
Just be hopeful he gets stuck on 3 Mississippi. Sometimes he does. Wait, what's next?
Yeah, I don't know how the helicopter pulled over that girl. How would you have done that? Because I remember her getting a ticket from a helicopter.
Well, there had to be somebody on the ground.
Right, same thing, for the most
I
part.
guess you're right.
Yeah. They probably have eye markers. And it's probably better because when I was a kid, I mean, there was a huge, like, white line painted on the highway, and you knew, okay.
That's where they're watching us.
Well, and it was kind of a reminder. It was just like, anything, like when you're in your car, you immediately look up. Okay.
Which is safe.
Which is totally unsafe.
Oh, yeah.
The entire time you're looking
You're
up at the sky.
driving, looking at the sky.
So I have an FAA. It was different. Ohio Highway Patrol flying above me. We were talking a little bit about burgers earlier on the show and the big ones, and got an email said, Jaybird, you should hit Steak and Shake. They have a 7x7 steak burger. If you're looking for a huge burger, it's 7 patties and 7 pieces of cheese in one burger, and only 1,330 calories.
That's too much, though. That really is. That's so much of a burger.
7 patties feels like it should be more than 1,300.
I know, it does.
Doesn't it?
1,300 is a lot of calories, though.
It is, but, I mean, when you consider that a normal burger is like 600.
They're probably smaller, Pat. They're real thin over there at Steak and Shake. They don't have them thick burgers. Although, who's got the thickest fast food burger out there? And I'm not counting a Burger Fi because I don't consider them fast food.
I guess Wendy's. My guess would be for Wendy's. Wendy's seem to be pretty. Well, I mean, there is Fat Burger, but yeah, I mean, aside from them.
You got Quarter Pounder, that's a thicker one. But even like your Big Macs, those are thin patties. The Quarter Pounder is a thicker patty.
Yeah.
And you're right, Wendy's has got some thicker, although they're kind of thin too, though. Who's got the biggest fucking burger?
Mm-hmm.
He's on it.
What do they call it at Wendy's? Wendy's Bigger Burgers has something, doesn't it? Or is it just a triple? Is that how they do it? It's just a double and a triple?
They have a double and a triple.
Okay.
They had one, I think was it the Baconator they had? They had one, I swear to you, I went twice a day in high school. It had this cheese sauce, but it had chopped up little bacon bits in it, and it was some kind of specialty bun on top of it, and it had sauteed onions, and I'm not a big, either sauteed onions or mushrooms, and I don't like either one of them that much. Holy shit, I loved them.
Really?
I don't think they make it anymore. It was one of the best burgers ever.
Mm-hmm. Or they're doing some research. Bert is on it. So that's one to try out here. Let me see here. It says, Kevin and Virginia are wrong. K-pop is not Chinese.
I didn't say Chinese. I said Korean.
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about.
You're dumb.
So actually,
clean your
you're
ear
wrong.
out.
Yeah, I was going to say.
K stands for Korea.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's probably about all we need to read on that.
Yeah, once you say something like that, we're just going to go ahead and toss your email.
If your title's completely wrong, then yes.
I do like it when people, because we are wrong a lot, but there are times people call us out and we are not wrong. It's so annoying.
I just watched a whole piece, a documentary on K-pop on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So come at me, bruh.
Yeah. What it was.
Feel a little froggy on the side of the table today.
Yeah.
I'm ready for K-pop.
No, what it was is we were playing, it's the number 1 song in China, and it's about noodles.
Now, Kevin,
And
you're
so
a
we
fucking
played it.
dick. Sorry.
And then somebody had texted in about it because we play. I'm like going, okay, it's just, to me, the whole point was, all right, it's amusing that the number one song in China is about noodles. And then somebody sent in a text and said, I have to find it because, of course, I get it wrong. Or get an email saying, no. And
That's not what I
I'm
said.
talking way more about K-pop and Chinese dance songs than I want to. Yeah, it was something about the song that apparently the person who did that song that's number one in China, I think, is in a K-pop band or something like that. So I was like, and they're like, do better research. I'm like, I really don't care.
Do better research. Okay, send better comments.
Yeah, I don't care about it enough that I'm going to go in depth about K-pop.
No.
Yeah. That was basically all it was.
Yeah, don't read me any hate emails towards myself today because I will be such a dick. I did not sleep at all. I feel a little squirrely, Coach.
Oh, you are? Okay.
There's lots of K-pop. It's not just the BTS that we talked about. They are the top of K-pop. But there's a bunch of other K-pop, and not just all guys. There's all girl groups. There's mixed. There's a lot of K-pop out there.
Well, metal beard dick needs some attention right now. You guys are always wrong.
Why don't you suck your own dick, Metalbeard Dan?
If he could, he probably would not be in the chat room.
No kidding. He would maybe.
Guys, I'm busy.
Did you just tell Metalbeard Dick to go suck his own dick?
Yes. You know what? People like you annoy me because you're nice in person, and then you come on the chat room. You want to have all kind of balls and be a dick. When I was in your face, you didn't have shit to say, bitch. When we were standing in front of the theater in Jupiter, you were sweet as pie. Be real, motherfucker.
Be real.
WRMF. We real motherfuckers.
That's right. That's right.
Decide who you want to be and then stick to it.
That is weird when people are very nice to you in person and then such a dick.
Well, they told me that's Metalbeard Dan. I said, there's no way. There's no way that guy over there who's all meek and sweet is Metalbeard Dan.
He's a sweetheart in person.
Well, pick a side, bitch. What do you want to be?
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Nah, it's great.
I'm going to drink some water and
That's
calm down.
Isn't that what the podcast is for? Ranting, I thought?
Yeah, somebody sent an email. Questions at your job. Alyssa had said, yeah, talking about the jobs you get. Anytime I tell somebody I'm a psychotherapist, people start telling me their problems or how their family member is struggling with substance abuses or whatever. So a lot of therapists actually lie when they get an Uber or Lyft because of this.
Oh.
I can see that.
I can totally see
you
that.
You get a Lyft driver that's barely hanging on, coming unhinged. You're a doctor? Okay.
Help me.
My wife is banging my best friend.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a mess. I bet everywhere you go, people are always trying to get free advice.
Probably with certain professions. Yeah, I could see other professions that, are like, okay, I'm not going to say anything.
I bet you doctors and psychiatrists probably get that a lot.
Sure.
And you don't want to be a jerk.
No.
But
you're like, I'm off the clock.
There's a Curb Your Enthusiasm where they're on a plane and Larry David's with a doctor and someone's having an issue on the plane. Is there a doctor on the plane? And the doctor doesn't say anything. And Larry David goes, why aren't you going to say anything? You're a doctor. He's like, no, I'm off right now. I don't let anyone know I'm a doctor. I wonder if doctors do that a lot. Like, don't say anything. Don't tell anybody I'm a heart doctor.
Well, I think it's in your Hippocratic oath that you have to jump up and do something. I think they take an oath to tend to the sick or some kind of shit. I don't know how it goes, but if
Sounded very
somebody's
convincing there to the end.
If somebody's falling out on an airplane and you're the doctor, I think you got to jump up.
If not, you're a Dr. Dick.
You're a Dr. Dick.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I think there's two different examples. Yes, if somebody needs help, you got to step up. But if somebody's just in passive conversation,
wants to chat.
Yeah,
You don't have to chat to your Uber driver about his goiter.
Right.
But
I wouldn't think that's part of the oath.
You should jump up if there's an emergency on a plane. If you don't, you're an asshole.
Because it'd be tough. 'Cause I think you'd probably say, hey, if you want to book an appointment, then we can do it that way. But yeah, just because I'm a captive audience doesn't mean you get free medical advice.
Yeah, and sometimes doctors aren't always that nice.
No.
There's some really dicky doctors
There's some
out there.
awful doctors out there that are terrible humans.
I had a psychiatrist that was kind of a dick. I'm like, I don't think this is going to work out. You're kind of a dick.
What did he say when you said that?
I didn't say that to him.
So do you think they started a dick, or did their profession help make them a dick?
I think that's a great question. I think there's a personality thing there, but I also think sometimes people get jaded. And
Yes.
if you're not a person that loves your career, loves what you're doing, and are passionate, if you're a doctor that's just going through the motions, and that does exist, then I think you're going to be kind of a dick to people sometimes.
Every profession has people that are jaded in it.
Of course.
Too, that they should probably get out of it because they're no longer doing a service.
Well, to me, a good doctor, it doesn't matter what kind of doctor you are. People in general are anxious and nervous, and they didn't go to medical school. So when they're in a medical facility, they are scared. 80% of people are scared and not acting normal, and they need a comforting voice sometimes. When shit's about to get real, if you're a dick and someone needs comforting, well then you're a Dr. Dick.
That's why I sent you to Dr. Murphy. She could not be sweeter.
I liked her because I was one of the youngest clients she had.
She's so comforting and like puts you at ease. That's the kind of bedside manner that you should have. People trust a doctor to do the right thing.
She basically, I walked into Virginia's doctor. She basically looked at my gums, go, "You're good, honey." I'm like, "All right."
All right.
That's pretty much my checkup.
That was it, huh?
Well, I think she got older clientele that goes there.
That's all she did?
Well,
No,
don't tell me that I'm okay
joking.
comparatively. Compared to the other guys I saw, you're fine. Well, that's not how I want to be.
No, I don't want the comparison. I want just from the perfect specimen, how far off am I from that?
I'm just kidding around, sort of here, but yeah, she did make me feel like I was a young whippersnapper.
This email said, "Hey, can you give me the story about the whole thing that happened with you guys at Wild? I know you got fired in Miami. Well, that is pretty much the extent of what I know what happened. I just heard Virginia talking about Leo. Is he your program director at Wild? That's from Matt. No. I mean, there was like with anything, there's a lot of layers, but Leo was not the program director. In fact, we had a different program director that was involved with the hiring of us here at RMF that wasn't here long. His name was Steve, and he took off, like, I think in year one, and then Leo's been in with us the rest of the time. I guess almost 4 years now, so he's been around for a while.
Yeah, but that was the first time we ever worked for Leo. It was here
Yeah.
4 years ago when they hired him.
Yeah, and basically at Wild was... it was a big company that put a lot of focus on their national talents that they had syndicated, and they didn't really, I think it's pretty well given, and people tell me they don't care much about markets below 10, and
They've
we were.
gone on record saying, we don't care about the smaller markets.
Yeah, I don't know if it's officially documented.
They've said it in meetings, and it's been repeated to us.
I've heard it several times in my career.
Yeah, and I've heard that for the most part that was it, and somebody even said, I would try to get to one of those top 10s, and so that meant, to stay with that company, we're either going to probably have to get to a top 10 market, which there's not really any of those. Our hope was when I came here was getting the job at Wild and then getting Y100 and kind of doing both and then going from there. And
that was your hope because that's the bill of goods that was sold to you.
Right.
Because I was sitting right next to you when you were told by the program director of Y100 back in the day, Rob Roberts, that if you did well at Wild, the Y100 morning show would be yours.
Yeah, there's a lot of empty promises in radio.
That was said.
Yeah.
And then you did well at Wild.
We went from
and then,
13th place when we started to first. And so
that's
I thought,
doing well.
Yeah, so
that's and anybody's definition, that's well.
I thought it was in the bag, and then I remember the day they made the switch and they had brought Elvis in, and that was in what the corporate thing had decided to do. They decided to take a couple talents and syndicate them all over the place, and I was like, well, fiddlesticks. That's not what the plan is. But, we're already in South Florida, and I waited. Definitely biding your time is what we had done. I think we were 6 years in at that point when that went down, and it was like, okay, do you want to throw away what you had? And at that point, I love South Florida, so I didn't really want to go anywhere. And that would have what it would have meant is, leaving and trying to then break into one of those big markets and then get syndicated all over the place.
And it's so hard to start over and...
Yeah, it was something, and I'd been other places, and I loved it here. I'm like, I don't want to leave, I love it more than, I think I was probably in my life when I realized, I think I like South Florida more than I even love what I do for a profession. So it's like, I just want to stay here and let's let this thing ride and see how long it goes. And so we were here, and because of that, I think we're in year 14, so this is 7 years after that, and our contract had expired, and we were hoping to get, renewed. and it expired. And typically you renew contracts about a year before they even expire.
Right. You start talking about it way before everybody starts talking about what they want and negotiations.
Because they don't want the contract to expire and then, somebody across the street to snap you up or something like that.
Right.
And so when we tried to start that conversation, they had no interest in it. And I'm like, well, everything was solid that we were supposed to be doing. And then we got to the end of the contract that expired, and I remember we were in May, and I was just like, "This is getting me nervous because I got a family. Like I'm working it's like live without a net, basically." And so we kept saying, "Hey, you going to sign? You going to sign?" The local people are like going, "Hey, can we try to get this contract done? We don't want to lose this show." And it just kind of became obvious, and from iHeart, we had talked about how they blew out Andy Preston. Just a couple of weeks ago and things like that. I just didn't trust it. I'm like something smells fishy. I'm like, I don't know. Despite what our ratings are, I've seen them fire #1 morning shows. And so,
right. They're not doing right by people all over the company.
Yeah.
So why should we be any different?
So when we got to that point and we actually got a call from, Cox in Miami and said, hey, here's the win-win. We'll bring you down here. You can do the show in Miami, and we'll syndicate you back to West Palm. I'm like, okay, well, that's a no-brainer, right?
They were going to work out a deal where we could still be on Wild 95.5 with the syndicated product, but we'd be actually broadcasting out of Miami.
Yeah.
And then we'd add the whole Miami market, but yet keep the whole West Palm Treasure Coast market.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like the deal of all deals.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
It was like a no-brainer. You'd be going, okay, because the alternative was just, no, we'll just wait here until who knows what happens.
Until we get fired like Andy Preston.
Yeah, the writing was kind of on the wall. It just, I don't know. I wasn't getting good vibes from the major corporate people that we were in their long-term plans. And so we made that move. And then as we did, 3 days after we signed our contract and before we hit the radio, the guy that signed us in Miami left to go to Los Angeles. And
this is the boss that loved us and believed in us. So imagine the guy that brings you in is now gone.
It kind of would have been nice for you to be like, hey, heads up, guys, I'm going to be taking off. Because he had to know. He was,
He had to know.
Right. So
it just sucks.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it went, unfortunately. And so the new people that came in to run the station wanted to have a Hispanic show that played a lot of music, and now they got what they want. They got DJ Laz that is Hispanic and been in the market forever and plays a lot of music. So it worked out for them, but it just we had a conflict.
Fit.
Yeah, we didn't play any music by the time when we went down to Miami. We started adding some music back as a compromise to help them out, but so it just didn't work. That's just the nature of life in the business. But that's the very long story of what happened with why we left and why we wound up where we did. But it all ultimately worked out, I think, for the best.
Yes, definitely for
happy
the best.
Happy to be here and happy for everybody else. Let me see here. Got somebody said, am I ignorant or am I justified? My husband and I are 31 years old, and we've been married for 9 years. Last summer, my husband confessed to me that he is a cocaine user. I didn't know what to think of that at first because I had no idea. I told him I wasn't comfortable with that and asked him to stop. He said it helps with his back and shoulder pain. He doesn't do it at home, and he sells some of what he buys so it doesn't affect our finances.
He's saying it helps his back and pain. Oh
cocaine for the pain?
This is something.
Now that his secret is out, though, he does coke at home now in the garage and more often. I asked him to stop, and he refuses. He is tired of me accusing him of being high around our kids, ages 5 and 4 months, and threatens to disappear and never see us again.
Oh, no.
Is this the husband or boyfriend?
Husband. He never carries out this threat that he's made multiple times, and the conversation gets swept under the rug, never to be brought up by either of us. I'm very naive when it comes to drugs. I hear you guys make a lot of jokes about cocaine and discuss the shows about it. I just can't relate, so I can't tell if you guys are exaggerating or serious. I worry about how this will affect my children. Will this have a long-term effect on my husband? Am I making a big deal out of his drug habit? No. Should I ignore it and let him do his thing, or should I try harder to get him help?
Try to get him help, and if he doesn't want to get help, I wouldn't put up with that shit. I'm leaving that person. No, you don't do cocaine and you go in the garage when you got kids and do all that shit. He needs to make an adjustment, and if he doesn't, you need to leave his ass.
Yeah, you need to be vocal with him because you didn't marry a guy with a cocaine problem. You didn't sign up for this. And if you're not comfortable with it, it's well within your rights to say, I don't want this in my life. This is not what I had planned for our marriage. You changed, not me.
That's a bunch of bullshit about taking cocaine because he's got shoulder. Give me a fucking break. No.
I've never heard cocaine for pain. Have you?
No, if you're masking your pain
I heard
with
for
cocaine,
party.
yeah, you've got an issue there, and you need to go get that taken care of.
I've heard it for killer dance moves.
This is one of those things where you put your foot down. This is an end-all, be-all, shut up or put up kind of a thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't do that
I
shit.
agree. And I don't like this whole thing like you would throw out there. That would be a bargaining tool or a threat or a weapon that you would use that you're just going to leave your family, your 2 children, and your wife.
Because
high
you were
and dry.
using cocaine? Oh, hell no.
So in a sense, in that statement, I mean, if you break it down, that statement is, to me, to let you know cocaine is more important than you and my children. And don't stand in the way because I'm basically letting you know that me using cocaine is bigger to me than you guys are.
Just say it out loud. You were using cocaine and then you're hanging out with the children. Okay, that's all you got to say. You're not crazy. You're not wrong. He is wrong, and he has to make the adjustment. And if he doesn't, you need to leave him.
And he's the one that changed, not you. Like, the person that changes is the person at fault if the habits are terrible and the other person didn't sign up for that and they're upset about it.
He's acting like he's drinking a beer.
Yeah. No, it's...
If the cops come...
You're doing something that's highly illegal, not to mention kids can get into that at that age. And that's the other thing, too. You got to look out for your kids. Because, I mean, if he gets a little bit more cavalier and he's doing it already more frequently, then what that leads to is him leaving out his cocaine. And next thing you know, one of your kids ingests it, not knowing what it is, and your kid could OD. Cocaine kills people who take too much of it.
Or just that you are on cocaine and the cops come... That ain't weed. That ain't you with an open container. You're doing a big time drug. It's a felony.
Yeah.
Isn't it a felony?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't like that. So yeah, stand up for yourself and
don't let him threaten you because he's trying to threaten you right now that he's going to leave. Well, good.
Get yourself ready. Be prepared. Yeah.
I love that when assholes that are doing something wrong, they're the ones threatening, like they've got the cards. No, fuck you. You're the one doing the bad stuff.
You changed, not me. So this is all because of you doing this to our family.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There you go.
Yeah, good point. Beth said if the cops ever search the house, she could possibly get in trouble too.
It's true.
And next thing you know, now both parents are gone, and who's watching the kids?
That's a mess.
Yeah, you're putting cocaine in front of your family.
Yeah, so that's basically what it is. So it's kind of a no-brainer, but it does help when, somebody says it out loud for you.
Oh, yeah, I would not put up with that shit.
On a different tip, somebody texted in and said, how much weed was smoked before Jaybird's test run number 2 video? Holy highness.
What do you mean?
I haven't seen it. They're just asking a question.
The video you had on YouTube, test run number 2?
I don't know. I don't think it was that high.
That high?
I think they're more talking about Denny's. We talk about weird shit anyway. We definitely don't need weed to talk weird, that's for sure. But I don't think, I think we're just naturally weird on that one.
Okay.
Now, the one with the like game, the first one, Denny's was real high on that one. Really high.
Really high.
Yeah, we're still trying to find the fine tuning on all that. I know people are like, this is wrong, and the lights are... We're working on it, I promise. I can't wait to get you guys in there. We could do a podcast. We could do an after the show podcast at my place now.
I love it.
If you want to. Same
That's
exact
cool.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. I was really impressed how it looks and the cameras and everything's great. I don't think these are bad, but I know people are like, don't stop talking about this Florida boys' school. So I put it at the end just to read them out. But to me, it's rather interesting. It was the story that we talked about. The one was the boys' school in Marianna, Florida, and they had a sister boys' school in Okeechobee, and they uncovered all these crazy things about it. And there were a couple emails that came in since. Jenny had emailed and said, I heard you talking about the industrial school for boys on the last couple of podcasts. Thought you might be interested in listening to a podcast of an interview with one of the students who's now a grown man who went to the school. It's not a podcast for the faint of heart, but it is thought-provoking and terribly fascinating nonetheless. So might have to check into that. See
Yeah,
what that's all about.
Don't watch it on Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
But, you know.
But if this is your kind of thing and you're fascinated, I mean, it's something. It's Okeechobee's within our listening area, and you're two kind of things. You're like, oh my gosh,
And that's
crazy.
the one person I would love to hear from. Somebody who's now an adult that can look at this with the adult mind
Yeah.
that lived through it and survived it.
Right.
And saw things happen. Now that is a very interesting perspective.
Oh, it just sounds. I mean, to me, it's the things you make movies out of.
Right.
And imagine being in that situation.
I'm surprised there's not a movie. There probably is one in development on that.
Well, it's something where it sounds like, that it could really pop where you're like going, oh, yeah. You ever had something where it's like everybody's like, that's it. That's the place, because there was a movie or something about it that made it that way. Yeah, it sounds like either one of those schools or both of those schools could be like going, oh, my gosh, yeah, that's the school from da-da-da-da. Kathleen said, I wanted to add to the story about the Okeechobee Boy School. When they were uncovering all the information about how the boys had died, we had a detective knock on our door with some interesting news. One of the boys that escaped had entered a lady's house, and she shot him to death. This so happened to be the house we were living in at the time. They were able to narrow it down to our house since there were only 2 houses on the street at the time. The story was sent to you briefly, explains what happened. Thought it was creepy and wanted to share with you, especially
oh my
Jaybird.
gosh.
That is creepy.
So yeah, somebody had said one of the boys that had tried to escape the school they shot, and so it's just unbelievable stuff.
Did they tell them that something happened like that before they bought the house? 'Cause I just got an email from somebody who bought a house, and they were living in it for 3 years and did not know that a couple was hacked to death in their bedroom. So bought the house, no one ever told them that, and somebody that lived in the old neighborhood drove by, knocked on their door, and told them what happened.
Oh, my
and they did the
gosh.
research and found out that was true.
Horrifying.
Horrifying.
Had weird stuff been happening in the house?
No, nothing weird has been happening. Nothing weird had happened in their house. They just said they found out the news, and now they're freaked out. Wow. 3 years into it.
Wow.
Hacked with an axe, man.
Wow.
Yeah, you would think that should be the case, that you would that you should tell somebody. It seems like you should.
Hashtag be cool.
I looked into it. Certain states aren't required to tell you anything about that stuff. Yeah, there's certain states where if someone gets murdered, you don't have to know about it. You may not know about it.
Okay, interesting. So, thank you very much for the emails and all the information. Always appreciate you being a part of the show. Got anything else you can send to us? Emails, mail at kvjshow.com, mail at kvjshow.com. Have an amazing Tuesday. We'll talk to you later.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems, ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.